And then, and then I was like, well, maybe I should just like talk about it. And then I didn't want to do that either. Because I knew that Brittany and Catherine were coming, and I know how amazing they are at speaking and how powerful they can be when they talk, and I think that's something that I didn't want to miss. And so I also didn't want to deprive you of a poem, and Rena just happened to have a beautiful one on the ripple effect, like what? So Rena is going to open with that, and then I would love to hear from these beautiful, lovely women.
Thanks. I gotta hold two things
You
here.
can clip the tears off.
You're right, I can. So I actually found this poem in a book in the Hartwood Library. When I first started at Hartwood, I started to peruse through, maybe with like some inclination that there might be some organization that would happen, which I think is an ongoing forever project. Still looking for that. Yeah. And it was in a like training book that was like this thick for a canoe tripping organization on Ontario, and it had an old Hartwood participant's name in the front. Anyway, so it had a whole really great stuff, and I learned a lot from it. But then there was a section of like readings and thoughts and thought-provoking things for conversation starting around, tripping and whatever. And so this is called The Ripple Effect from the Tao of Leadership. And I think it's interesting that it's not all positive, because there's a bit in it. Anyway. Do you want to be a positive influence in the world? First, get your own life in order. Ground yourself in this single principle so that your behavior is wholesome and effective. If you do that, you will earn respect and be a powerful influence. Your behavior influences others through a ripple effect. A ripple effect works because everyone influences everyone else. Powerful people are powerful influences. If your life works, you influence your family. If your family works, your family influences the community. If your community works, your community influences the nation. If your nation works, your nation influences the world. If your world works, the ripple effect spreads throughout the cosmos. Remember that your influence begins with you and ripples outward. So be sure that your influence is both potent and wholesome. How do I know that this works? All growth spreads outward from a fertile and potent nucleus. You are a nucleus.
I'm Brittany, for those of you who haven't chatted yet. Sorry, squirrel. Could everyone close their eyes, maybe? Taking you on an adventure. I want you to imagine a body of water, a lake, a pond, maybe an ocean. Somewhere you've been, somewhere you've yet to be. This body of water is still, calm, and clear. It's as thin as glass and as deep as this speech. This is where you come in. With the breeze in the back of you, you look back at when you first started at Hartwood and all you've done and all you've affected. You lightly toss a stone in the still water and see the ripples. With each ripple you think of something that is caused by the last. The water slowly goes still, but this body of water, this lake, this pond, or this ocean, is your Hartwood. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I've been asked to come here today to kind of speak on behalf of like a ripple effect that has happened with me within Hartwood. So I think of myself as kind of like the pebble. I was chucked into Hartwood, which just not really chucked and kind of gently dropped in the middle. That sounds a little bit better. And kind of, I think about the ripples. They first start off really small around the pebble, so you can think about it as like the small one was first when I walked into the room and I saw all these faces. I knew who they were, but I never knew who they were, like, deeper than what, oh, this person's name's Danielle, this person's name's Brittany. So when I walked in, I felt this atmosphere that was just so welcoming, and I knew then it was going to be something really great. So that was the first ripple for me, and I knew that I wanted to make sure that everyone else felt welcome. So it kind of rippled out on the fact that I then, no matter where I was, making sure that atmosphere followed me, making sure that my classroom felt like that, my house felt like that, and like atmospheres like this felt like that. But the biggest one that I want to talk about is like the stigma that the Heartwood girls in Spryfield wanted to face, which was that Spryfield is kind of like a thuggish, bad, dingy neighborhood, when really the things that make up a community are the people within it and not the actual ecosystem around. Because the people in Spryfield are so wonderful and have such beautiful souls that they can accomplish so much. And in each different ripple, we came over so many different like discussions, like, oh, who should we like invite to our end of the year celebration? Oh no, I don't want to bring like this up in that celebration. I don't want to bring up that. And each ripple bounced off to kind of fill out the full landscape of like the lake, if you want to say. And each ripple could have been positive or could have been negative. And we had both. We had plenty of both. But then at the end of it, I found that the ripples always end up coming back to you. Brittany made a really good point while we were on our way up here that ripple effect is just like karma. What goes around comes around. And we found that the ripple of us trying to get away from the stigma of Spryfield really came back, because I've been hearing now things of, oh yeah, like I heard this girl group in there, like that, the celebration they had, man, I didn't realize that they were capable of that things. And like, oh, that awesome shirt that they came up with, like, which you'll see we're wearing right there, it's Stop Gender Stereotypes. Oh, and there's more. All of my, green. Yeah, and it comes in green too. And there's tank tops and t-shirts, you know, they're great. So all my friends, like, they've been realizing like the change that people can accomplish. And they've been saying that it's kind of inspiring to watch someone and a bunch of people from different parts of Spryfield come together and just kind of represent Spryfield in such a positive way. So with my experience with Heartwood, it's been nothing but positive, I find. So my ripple effect has kind of ended up going over like the whole ocean. Yeah.